And we're back, and tonight is our Florida Metal Fest pre-fest show. The show is going on this Saturday, January 30th, at the Cuban Club in Tampa. And with us now, we have the organizer of this whole to-do, Mr. Donald Tardy of Obituary. Welcome to the show, Donald.
Hi, Jed. How are you doing?
I'm doing great. So, Donald, before we get into the fest stuff, let's talk really quick about Obituary. What do you guys got lined up for this year, 2016?
Yeah, 2016 is going to be another big year. The album has now been out for a little over a year, and Inked in Blood has just exploded. So we've been very busy on the road supporting the album. And this year now, we know Florida Metal Fest is first, but Obituary is also confirming some of the summer festivals for the European summertime. But most importantly, just after this festival, Obituary and Cannibal Corpse will do a U.S.-Canada tour, which we're very excited about. A 32-date tour with Cannibal across U.S. and Canada could not be any better for us.
So you're going to be pretty busy this year.
We are going to be busy again this year.
Okay, so now let's talk about the fest, right? First and foremost, Donald, why did you put this whole thing together? What was your idea behind all of this?
Well, because I'm a metalhead, and I love music, and I love live music, and I get to go with Obituary. I get to play drums in front of thousands of people on an open-air outdoor stage, and Tampa deserves it because we did set the standard for death metal, and we still are going strong with all of these Florida death metal bands. So we just simply know that Tampa people, Central Florida people need a festival, and if I can bring one of them to everybody, I'll be happy. Which we have pulled the trigger, and we are absolutely gun-ho for Saturday, January 30th.
Now, do you plan on making this a yearly thing?
We do, fingers crossed. Again, it goes back to the first year. Mm-hmm. It's hard to convince people, I think, that there's a first-year festival, and that's why we're coming to everybody and just saying it's a low-cost festival, mm-hmm. and bringing some amazing bands with Obituary and D-Side playing, and Corrosion of Conformity and Trouble. Then we brought in Malevolent Creation and Broken Hope coming down from Chicago. Atheist's first show in nearly 6 years.
Wow.
Is a very exciting festival for fans to show up.
How did you go about picking these bands?
I'm a fan of it. Like COC was a no-brainer because even though people are like, wow, Obituary Deicide, it's not about death metal. It's about Floridians enjoying metal music live in front of them. And some of my favorite bands that I invited, Trouble with that doomy, groovy, hippie metal rock. And then COC just is so good live that we wanted some of that southern metal to come down with Pepper Keenan.
So when you put this fest on, it's going down, like we said, this Saturday at the Cuban Club. What time does all this festivity start at?
Doors are at 3 p.m. First band's on at 4. First main stage band, 4:30. Two stages, 10 bands, I believe, total for Saturday. Could not be more excited.
Yeah, it sounds like a lot of excitement going on there. Now, are you going to have, any little events going on during all of this?
We do have a VIP tent that's going to have a private tent for a certain amount of people, which is already sold out. So the people that have already become a part of it, see you there. It'll have a private bar, its own private bathrooms, and obviously probably where the band members are going to sneak to go grab a cold beer. Now,
you also had a little battle of the bands thing. How did that all go, and who was the winner of that?
Well, that was super cool because we simply wanted to add more bands from Florida, and we also wanted to make sure that the friends of ours that own venues around here in Tampa understand Obituary and the Tardy brothers are not trying to step on any toes. Mm-hmm. We want to make a festival, and so what we did, we reached out to Heather at the Brass Mug, and we said, we just want to make sure that you understand we're just putting on a festival because we're fans. We're not trying to become promoters or take anyone's shows from them. Mm-hmm. And so we allowed her. We set up a battle of the bands and did it at the Brass Mug where she tried to, we brought in people and they battled, and Untoten Krieg won it. So young dudes from, I think, Lakeland, Florida mm-hmm. are going to be playing the festival, which is super cool.
Yeah, so now you got
Yep, and then we did a battle of the bands at the Crowbar in Ybor City, and Unsung Destroyer won that one. So these are two Florida-based bands right around this area that have a chance to play a festival that we hope becomes an annual event that could be worldwide known and world-class venue and world-class PA, and just it could be something something beautiful in the future for sure.
So Donald, where can people go to find out more about the event? I mean, do you have Facebook, a website?
Yeah, well, of course, the Facebook is Florida Metal Fest. The main website's floridametalfest.com. That's where the tickets are on sale. You can see the information for the festival itself, the hotels around it, just general information that has the map that lays it out. And everybody knows, everybody from Tampa, Fort Lauderdale, Miami, they all know the Cuban Club is an amazing venue. We're talking about a 4,000-seat venue outdoor festival with a 40-foot by 60-foot stage with Obituary, COC, Trouble, Deicide, Atheist Planet. Oh, my God. Holy moly.
So it's going to be a great time. And
man. As you can tell, I'm not just an organizer. I'm trying because I love these bands. Like, that's an exciting stage.
It definitely is. And, for the people in that area and the people traveling there, like you said, you could go to that website. You have, hotels in the area. You have directions. Everything's going on there. Donald, thank you so much for coming on the show to tell us about this year's first annual festival. We look forward to having you on next year for the second one.
Absolutely. Thank you, guys.
And we're back, and you're listening to the Metal Magdalene with Jet right here on Metal Messiah Radio. And tonight is the pre-fest show leading up to the Florida Metal Fest going down this Saturday at the Cuban Club in Tampa. And right now we have one of the bands performing at the fest with us. We have Ed Webb of Generichrist. Welcome to the show, Ed.
How you doing, Jet?
I'm doing great. So, Ed, tell us a little history behind the band, where you're from, how long you've been around, what the lineup is, and what kind of music you play, all that jazz.
Okay, Generichrist actually started long before I was in the band. I want to say early 2000s. It went through a couple incarnations of bands beforehand, but Tony Anderson is pretty much the mastermind. He's the vocalist. He's actually the only original member to date, and through incarnations, I started with the band 2007, 2008, and we had a plethora of member changes, just like every other band does. So at this current point, we have a pretty solid lineup, but we have two drummers that swap for various reasons, and we have a new guitar player that's we're working out. But as of right now, you have myself, you have Tony Anderson on vocals, and Joe Hubar is the guitar player. We have Chris Merriman and Brandon Thrift on drums, and filling in for the show, the fest, is Damien Heftel on guitar, and then we have a new guitar player called Marco Escalante, who's going to be doing what Damien does. So we have a pretty solid lineup. We just have players kind of coming and going all the time.
Mm-hmm. So last year, guys came out with your second full-length album, Taste of Death. How's that album been doing for you guys?
It's great. I mean, we've been pumping both records pretty solid. But all that music was done so long ago. That it took forever to get both of those CDs done. One of them we did them for a Japanese label, and then the second one we did with Horror, Pain, Gore. So they're definitely both doing great. Obviously, you want to promote as much as you can, but we're in the midst of writing a brand new record right now.
Oh, cool.
That's good. Two records actually, because we're using a different drummer for each record. So we're going to do 7 to 8 songs per record, mm-hmm. and if you like that Taste of Death, expect heavier. I mean, the way we're writing now, everybody's contributing. We don't have the guitar player who was on those records any longer, mm-hmm. so now everybody's kind of contributing to songwriting, and the direction is just some of the aspects are a little technical, not in math metal or crazy, but just a little extra. Mm-hmm. Some of it's really heavy, and some of it's punky and kind of hardcore-ish. So we throw everything into a pot and kind of see whatever comes out of it.
Now you guys play,
There's no rhyme or reason to Generichrist. Whatever comes out is what we do.
That's what kind of band you are. Now you guys play, all around Florida. Now, would you say you have kind of like a cult following around there?
I think so. It's weird because we play Miami, we've played Jacksonville, Gainesville, and it's weird to see the people who come out and support. We see shirts all over the place. I mean, when I was on tour with another band, I would show up at shows and see, Generichrist shirts across the United States. So it was very weird because, you don't expect it because you think you're a local band. But yeah, absolutely. There's definitely especially over the last year and a half, it seems like the band has, kind of gotten a little more, I guess, press is say that, meaning more people are coming to the shows that have seen us play, open for bigger bands in Tampa or wherever, and now they're coming to the local shows more to see it. So, yeah, I guess there's a little bit, but it's always hit or miss. You know how shows go.
Oh, absolutely. Now, here you guys are playing the first annual Florida Metal Fest in Tampa, a fest for the Florida metal fans, by the Florida metal fans. Oh, what do you think about all this?
When Terry told me what was going on with it and that they were, there was a conception of this fest, there's been so much talk over the years. They've tried to do different metal fests and they always fell short or never happened. But when I saw it was actually announced, and then they threw out the first two bands, with Obituary and Deicide. I was like, okay, well, that's pretty solid. And then they threw in, the other bands, Malevolent Creation, and they announced Madball and Corrosion of Conformity, and I was thinking, oh, wow. And then, of course, they started throwing out all the other bands, and I was just like, man, this is for real. I mean, it's been a long time. I go back to the early 90s, where the Cuban Club, seeing the shows like that used to come around, which was like Sacred Reich, Sepultura, Sadist, that tour, played that at the same club. Death Angel, all the big bands back when they toured as like 4 or 5 package bands.
Right.
That's what we were used to at that venue, at the Cuban Club. And then, of course, they kind of shut down. And I think Danzig played there not too long ago, but I didn't even know they were doing shows. And then when they said they were playing there, I was like, there's a lot of places you could play, but that place is unique because it has history. And yeah, the fest is definitely, I was blown away. And when we were asked to actually play it, I was just like, because they did a battle of the bands,
right,
local bands, and, we were just asked to play it, so I'm honored, and we definitely we're doing as much promotion as we can. I don't know if you saw the little flyers.
Oh yeah, I see it all over the place on your page.
Tony stepped up, the guy who did the Generichrist cover, the Massacre cover for the Back from Beyond record. He's the guy who did that. Tony knows him personally, so he called in a favor, and the guy stepped up and did this poster. And when Tony sent me what the scale was, I was like, wow, it looks, because the pencil drawing, I was like, wow, that's crazy. Then when he sent me the finished artwork, which was that, I was just like, holy crap, that's sick. Yeah, and now it's everywhere. So yeah, I mean, that just kind of exemplifies Florida with the gator, that's for sure.
It sure does. So you're looking forward to the show then?
Yeah, that's we've been practicing the last couple weeks, and then of course leading up to it, we've got a pretty heavy, blasting, crushing set that we think will hopefully hopefully not fall short, considering the lineup on that setup, in the stage. It's gonna be crazy.
Right. Well, there you go. So you guys, playing this weekend, and thanks for coming on the show, telling us a little bit about the band, and we hear how excited you are to be playing this weekend. And of course, if people want to find out more about Generichrist, just go to the Facebook page. I think you're the only Generichrist on Facebook, and you can see that awesome poster on there. And thank you so much, Ed, for coming on the show and telling us about what's going on, and have fun this weekend at the fest.
Absolutely, Jet. Thank you for having us, and we appreciate it, and thanks for always playing our music on your, on your deal there. We love it.
That's perfect. We're back, and you're tuned into the Metal Magdalene with Jet here on Metal Messiah Radio. Tonight is our pre-fest show leading up to this weekend's Florida Metal Fest happening at the Cuban Club in Tampa. And right now we have with us another band appearing at the festival. We have Rick Wartell of the legendary Trouble. Welcome to the show, Rick.
Well, thank you. Good to be here.
So, Rick, Trouble are true American doom metal legends stemming back from the late 70s, not to date ourselves or anything. Did you ever think in a million years that you would still be doing this gig all your life when you started this thing out?
You know, I'm not sure I was convinced I'd be doing this thing, but I was pretty much sure that I would be playing guitar and making music. God knows, this is, who knows how we've lasted this long. I guess it's just a passion that we have, for what we're doing, with Bruce and myself, basically, and our passion for writing together and creating, what we like. But, when we were first rocking out in the early 80s and stuff, I don't think we looked past the weekend. So, time flies.
It does. So what's this journey been like? I mean, it's been a long time, on again, off again, but you've been traveling everywhere through all these years. I mean, what's this whole Trouble journey been like for you?
I think that's part of the attraction for us. We get to see the world, which is a big bonus because in real life, I probably wouldn't be able to go and see all these countries and experience, all these different cultures. And, to me, that's one of the biggest pluses of being in a traveling band. And I think that's, one of the appeals for most of the guys in Trouble. Like, we just enjoy going to different places and, experiencing the different foods, the different cultures, the different people. And I think that's one of the huge attractions of being in a band for us, other than, obviously, we still love writing music and creating music. So,
I mean, and like you said,
it has been an up and down journey for sure.
Oh, of course. And, like you said, you've been all over the world with Trouble. Have you found that from, country to country, are metal fans pretty much the same? Or is there, any countries where you're like, oh my God, these people are out of hand?
Yeah, some are more enthusiastic for our particular brand of music than others. Like, for instance, when we play Germany, the fans there will sing the lyrics to our songs louder than we are on stage, and then country like Canada, people seem to be a little bit more relaxed and mellow, and there's like they'll even sit through part of the performance, and then we're kind of looking at each other going, oh, they're not digging it, and then we finish the song and they all stand up and cheer. We're like, okay, well, it's their thing. So yeah, there's differences, but they're all good. That's the great part.
Well, if they're paying money to come see you, they must like you. So
well, yeah, that's what we're hoping. Don't throw the money out the window. For no reason.
So you've been in the industry a long time. You started out back when days of cassette swapping, and the only media that you could possibly get out there in is either flyers or in magazines. What's your thoughts on the evolution of the industry of metal, and from days of magazines to all this crazy social media? Do you think it's better, or do you think it has its good points and bad points?
Yeah, I think it does have its good points and bad points, but, I was talking to someone about this the other day, and we were reminiscing about, how we got signed and how we got the word out about the band back then, and when I think about it, it's kind of like, holy shit, how did we even, start? I mean, without social media and the internet and the resources we have at hand now, it was a big job back then. I mean, much bigger than it is now. I mean, granted, social media is a job that you have to stay on and keep relevant, but back then we were sending, stamped letters to record companies and, sending tapes to record companies and, just hoping for response, So it's much easier to be seen and heard quickly now than it was back then. So we were fortunate. We were very fortunate, that we found people that were interested in us and wanted to record us.
And back then too, before shows, you had to flyer everybody standing out in front of all these,
Yeah, we never really did that. We were lazy.
It's like maybe
we did see bands, like our first trip to Hollywood. I remember we saw the guys in Poison handing out flyers, before they hit it big, and we were kind of like, wow, check these guys out, man. They're really working this, and it worked for them. But, we were like Midwestern guys. We didn't know how it worked. We're kind of like, okay, let's book some shows, and we'll see if people show up. And, fortunately for us, they were coming, so, worked for us.
That's a good thing. Now, you guys, like I said, always had that doomy stoner metal sound. Now, do you think that this genre has grown in popularity over the years, or does it kind of just stay its level self?
I think they go through phases. I think speed grows in a cycle, and then doom grows into a cycle, and then hardcore. I think people kind of rotate between what's popular in the metal genres. I personally don't like having genres. I mean, when we started, everything was just called metal.
Yep.
It was just metal.
Yeah.
And then they start breaking everything down, and then all of a sudden you get thrown into this genre. I think it's basically one big happy family, if you ask me. I mean, it's like, if you like heavy-sounding guitars, cool riffs and loud vocals, it's metal to me. It doesn't matter if it's played fast or slow or doomy or whatever. But like I said, I think it's just a cycle. I've noticed over the last 30-something years.
God, we're old.
Speak for yourself, lady.
Oh, yeah, I'm so old. You're just
old kid.
So, Rick, this weekend, the Florida Metal Fest, and like Donald Tardy said, this fest is a fest for fans of metal, all genres, put on by fans of metal. I mean, he said he's putting it on as a fan of metal, not as a promoter or anything like this. So are you guys excited to be part of this?
Oh, absolutely. And that statement's 100% true, because when we were talking to him about doing this, I mean, he got all excited. We got all excited. We found out what bands are on there, and it's this is the way, in my opinion, to go about putting a festival on. Coming from people who love music in the first place. It's not just a dollars and cents kind of thing. It's like, let's put these bands together, that everyone really digs, and have a big party. That's what this is, feeling like. And we're really looking forward to getting down there in the nice warm weather.
Yeah, I can understand that. And yeah, it's like you said, he made it perfectly clear, even to the venues that they were playing at, that they are not promoters. They don't want to be promoters. They just want to put this festival on that everybody could enjoy and just have a big party, no promotery crap involved. So it's going to be a great...
he's doing it right. That's the way to do it. It's fun for everyone then. But it's not a big business thing. It's not a bunch of negotiations here. It's like, let's just make this happen, like as a bunch of dudes and bands. It's awesome.
So what's the lineup now for Trouble that's going to be playing at this fest?
Well, Bruce Franklin and myself will be playing guitars as usual. Marco Lira is our drummer. He's been with us for, I think, 9 years now? People should be familiar with him by now. Rob Holtz is playing bass for us. He has been for the last 3 years now. He just missed making it onto the last record, unfortunately, because he's such a phenomenal bass player. I can't wait to record with him on the new record. And Kyle Thomas, who has been with us, for the last 4 years now. Yes, and it's a big, happy family. Everyone gets along. It's, fun to go to rehearsals. It's fun to write. It's a very, very healthy and good situation for Trouble right now.
So you're mentioning, next albums. When is there going to be a next album?
Well, we're working on it right now,
cool.
the writing process, and we're pretty close to finished with the music aspect of it. And we're hoping to get into the studio by, I'd say, April, May, which would be a fall release, I would think.
Oh, nice. So maybe by the end of
if things go right.
Right. So maybe by the end of the year, we'll have a new Trouble album.
That's the game plan.
So do you guys got anything lined up? I mean, here it is already 2016. It's a new year. You guys doing anything else during the year, or are you concentrating mostly on your writing stuff?
Well, I know that our agents want us to go to Europe in May and do some festivals and do a little bit of touring with some of our friends. I can't really mention this because it hasn't been confirmed yet, but we're working on stuff. We're gonna get out this year. We're gonna get out, promote the new record, and get back on the road basically, because when Trouble writes, we kind of just like shut everything down and we take the time off. Unlike most bands who just continue, we're kind of set in our ways. hung out and wrote songs and threw ideas off of one another. And now that we're getting near the end of that, we think it's time to go back out and start visiting countries again.
So Rick, where can people go to find out what you got going on? What shows you're playing, when you're releasing your albums? You got any websites out there that people could go and check all this out on?
We do. We have. We're on Facebook at Trouble Chicago, I believe it is.
Mm-hmm.
We also have a Trouble website, which is called newtrouble.com. And I think we have a Twitter page too. This is all cat stuff. I don't know all this stuff, but yeah, we're out there. So.
Okay, well then good. So then people could keep up to date on what's going on with you, what shows you're playing that you can't talk about yet, when your album's
Absolutely, yes.
So
no one is monitoring this stuff, trust me. But it's not me.
So, this weekend again, the Florida Metal Festival, Trouble appearing at the Cuban Club in Tampa. And Rick, thank you so much for stopping in today, and have fun this weekend at the Florida Metal Fest.
Oh, I will. It's my pleasure. Thank you very much for having me.